Hello, gorgeous. Today we are speaking about unlocking your divine feminine wisdom through the mystic rose, the mysticism of the rose. And I'm also going to discuss a little bit about my journey to embodying my authentic self as I started to really tune into the frequencies and the mysticism of the sacred rose. My name is Jessica Angeleri, and welcome to my channel where we speak about all things related to the divine feminine, sensuality, and embodiment. So, when you think about the rose, how do you feel? What are some of the energies that move through you, some feelings that move through you? Or have you even thought about it? Maybe you haven't. Do you love the rose as well, just as much as I do? And if you do love the rose, what is your favorite color? Do you have a favorite rose color that you tend to be drawn to? And do you love to use roses in your sacred space? When I think about the rose, for me, she really guides me and guides us to embrace our feminine nature and to connect with our divine self. So we can look to the Rose lineage and use her as an archetype or a representation to find this inner strength and to help us surrender to this spiral of the feminine. I mean, if you look at a rose, she's full of petals, and if you look in the center, it looks like a spiral. And to me, this really is such a beautiful representation of the feminine. So I have been drawn to the wisdom and the mystical energy of the rose for a while now. And she really teaches me and helps me understand the mysteries of the feminine and how to feel more feminine in my own authentic expression. So I wanted to share a little bit about the Rose lineage and her expression, and I hope that it inspires you as well. When I look at a rose, I'm really inspired by her vibrancy, her color, her scent, her magic, her magnetism, her radiance, and just the way that she really draws us in with her beauty. My connection with the mystic rose began as soon as I actually started to work with the Mary Magdalene archetype, with her energy. And it was here that I found or refound my spiritual connection after such a long depart from my own spiritual self, from my divine self, due to my religious upbringing. I did grow up as a Catholic in a really strict Catholic household, Sicilian background. And when I was about 16, I started to form my own identity, as you do. And I started to feel like I had a voice in this, and I just didn't feel like I was resonating with this path anymore. And I didn't understand why at the time. I did feel a lot of shame for walking away from this, and a lot of judgment as well from external forces, external situations. But I did it anyway. Now, as you know, I don't ever speak about religion. I'm not a religious person, and I'm not here to diminish anyone's beliefs. I respect all lineages and belief systems, but today I'm just sharing my own story. So I know that when I did walk away, I needed to walk away. It was because, well, I know this now, it was because the feminine was not considered. I was feeling the separation of the feminine, of the divine feminine. The feminine was never heard, not seen, and her absence just made me feel unsettled. Of course, I didn't know this at the time. And it wasn't until about 8 to 10 years ago that I did learn this, and I started to reunite with this mystical, spiritual whole self, this wholesome whole aspect of myself again. And I realized that The work of the embodiment of healing and empowerment couldn't walk alone without the connection with my divinity, without the connection with my spirit. And I had to bring back my connection with spirit in a way that felt truthful and organic and authentic for me. And through my curiosity and my devotion, I was led back home. I was led back home to my heart. I was led back home to this feminine wisdom. And the rose started to show up for me. I was feeling so inspired by her, and I started to use the rose in my transmissions. So her presence was igniting something within me. When I started to work consciously with the mysticism of the sacred rose, I was allured by her symbol of compassion, her feminine softness, her richness, and the way that she opens and the way that she surrenders and she effortlessly drops her petals. She releases. And she also brings me back to the little Jessica days when my grandmother used to hand me roses from her garden, and she would hand them to me. I remember she would wrap them in foil and she would give them to me so I could put them on the altar when I would go to school. And I loved this so much. I remember smelling the roses and I remember feeling so connected to my spirit back then. I just loved how it made me feel. So every time I do smell the roses, I do come back as well to that pure innocence, that aliveness that I felt as a child that was very quickly lost and forgotten as I went into my adolescence and my young adult life. So the rose, I feel like, brings me back to that space. The mystic rose for me is a teacher of compassion and humility, deep devotion, and the true grace that comes through embracing your organic feminine nature. We know the rose to be a flower of romance and passion, but I do believe that she represents a lot more than that. She represents this pathway of reclaiming the feminine, of embodying the feminine in all of her forms, in her uniqueness, and reclaiming our voice in this world. Her frequency and her essence, I believe, also really brings us back to our hearts and our womb. There's so much depth in the rose teachings. I feel that each rose color holds its own frequency of love, of light, and sensuality. And when we work with these frequencies, we can really bring balance and harmony into our lives. For example, the white rose is connected to source, to the divine. The pink rose connected to our heart chakra, coming down into this compassion and this unconditional love. And the red rose holds this balance of the root, the sacral, and it allows us to open up our feminine essence through the base, through our root. So her codes are embedded, I believe, in our yonis, metaphorically speaking. If we can think about how a rose slowly opens, so does our yoni, so does our cervix. She opens to fully receive only when she is ready. So just like the rose opens, your yoni opens as well. She reminds us that when she is soft and when she is connected, when we're connected with her, and we're feeling into her juice, she slowly opens in her own time. You can't force a rose to open. And that's the same with us as well. It's the same with our heart. Just like the rose opens when she's ready, so does our heart. Our heart opens to fully receive when we feel safe. And the rose holds herself up strong. She has her thorns to help protect herself, to help protect her heart, but she doesn't hold back from her wild, embodied, erotic expression. And this is how she leads us also. So each of the rose elements, you've got the roots, the stems, the petals, they hold deep messages and transmissions that we can bring into our bodies for devotion and to help us walk the path of the feminine mysteries. The vitality of these elements will reveal to you where healing is needed in your life. And the rose medicine shows us the spiral path of the feminine, that we must travel to different initiations of our womanhood. It's not just one step A, B, C. We need to go through these different initiations. We need to go through different phases in our life, phases in our month as well, and really open up to that to receive different messages petal by petal. When you meet with the essence of the rose, life may start to become a path of opening and surrendering and trust. She will send and breathe her messages of this softening and surrender through her scent with every breath that you take when you smell her and you receive her. When you soften and surrender, you allow and move with change. And that's the feminine. It's about changing, moving, being in this flow, always allowing challenges to come forth and really allowing the facades to drop away and the pain and the armor that we carry around the heart to drop away as well. So then we can see our own light. We can see the light in front of us. We can see our own vibrancy. So the sacred rose shows us that the feminine way is not about taking on this linear way of moving through life. Sometimes we move forward and then back, moving forward and back. It's not about playing small and being submissive like we've been shown our whole lives that that is what the feminine is about. Instead, it's about allowing ourselves to move with the currents of life, fully receiving and opening all that life has to offer to us, magnetizing through our natural beauty, our natural radiance, in our knowing who we are, and really fully owning that. The spiral path of the feminine that I speak about also asks us to open, to blossom, retreat. Like I said, move forward, sometimes rest, let go, release, take action, die, rebirth again. This is the divine feminine way. And the rose wisdom shows us this way through her own releasing. She shows us this way of surrendering instead of always resisting. The rose doesn't resist. She holds her anchor deep into the earth, but she also invites in her own movement, trusting that the pathway is already set out for her. When I started to work with Mary Magdalene consciously and was devoted to her wisdom, her codes, I started to bring healing into the womb space. Mary Magdalene is the womb priestess after all. And I started to use the rose frequency as a way to energetically heal the yoni and the womb. I was guided to create a journey to experience transmissions of yoni and womb healing, to create expansion and to embody sacred feminine power in my own self and for other women as well. I started to receive transmissions which were really initiations into the holy womb temple with Mary Magdalene. And as you know, I love speaking about the womb space and the yoni and the heart and connecting with the body, as this is where we really start to reclaim our power. A lot of the time we may know that we need to start working with the yoni and the womb, but we may not know the journey of moving through this, of how to do that. We may feel like we don't have the support, or we don't know where to begin. We don't know where to start with this. And this is why I feel so passionate about providing beautiful, gentle practices, somatic practices, and healing embodiment practices in my spaces and offerings, like Feminine Remembrance, to come home to yourself. Feminine Remembrance is my beautiful immersive group program that takes you on a transformative journey in an organic way to bring you back into this connection with your divine feminine wisdom and to help you expand and help you remember your truth and your wholeness. And I really love using the Rose Lineage to help us anchor and embody the feminine into our being and into the world as well. Now, I have done a few videos about the yoni and how to start connecting with your yoni as well as the womb. So make sure that you check those videos out. I know you will love them. I'll drop the links below for you. Now, the last thing that I wanted to really share with you is this message that the rose breathes love into you. Over the years, with my journey with devotional feminine practices, I've learned to be my own anchor, my own foundation, and my own strength, my own source of liberation. And here I feel that the lineage of the rose is all around me in this remembrance of that. And she breathes these beautiful words, whispers these words through her fragrance, through her beauty, through her essence. Strong, loving woman. And every time I breathe in this scent of the rose, I really feel into these words, this transmission, strong, loving woman. And that's who you are as well, a strong, loving woman. Don't you ever forget that. The strong, loving woman is alive within you. She's alive within your body and she's beaming with gratitude. She's always opening and forever unfolding within you to slowly emerge from the darkness and places of hiding. This priestess, this queen that you are. And so the rose really reminds us of this. We can really breathe into our heart and our womb and feel the frequency of the rose light. She spreads all through us. And I can feel her inviting me in, inviting you in to embrace the change, to expand, to be this pillar of hope and love for all women. And this is what I hope for when women come into my work, into this precious work of the feminine, is to receive this love, to receive this grace and this beauty as well. And to most importantly, know that you can be tender and strong at the same time. The tenderness is exactly how I'm led to being more intimate with myself. It's how I am vulnerable and how I honor and cherish my emotions and feelings and how I am now holding the rose temples for other women. So never see your feelings as something that is weak. We can be strong and tender at the same time, just like the rose. She stands strong and she's also soft and beautiful and radiant and magnetic. She naturally attracts just in her softness, and that in itself is a strength. And so we are all here when we start to embody the frequency of the rose. We also stand tall and we stay humble. We stand side by side with our other rose sisters. We're not here trying to compete with them. We are all creating more vibrancy and love in this world with our own medicine, our own unique fragrance in this garden of the roses. Her medicine is strong in our heart. She's rooted in us. I am her and you are her also. The rose is forever healing. She's here offering the healing love through Mother Earth. And I do believe that when women start to connect with the earth and really start to take in her healing qualities, we do trust ourselves more. And always remember, the rose is forever healing, blossoming, and spreading her beauty, her light frequency within me and within you also. Thank you so much for receiving this transmission and for being here and allowing me to share this sacred rose wisdom. I hope that it inspired you to deepen your connection with the mystical rose as well. Let me know in the comments what landed with you, and let me know if you do feel connected to the rose as well. And if you are feeling this heart rose pulse in your yoni and in your heart, I invite you to join me in the Temple of 1,000 Roses. This is going to be a beautiful Magdalene embodiment circle, a moment for us to come together and connect with our heart and our womb and to receive the light frequencies, the healing frequencies of the rose. It would be such an honor and so humbling for me to guide you in this beautiful circle. I'll drop the link below so you can check that out. That's happening this coming Monday. I'd love to have you there. And if you want to stay connected with more of this beautiful work, make sure to check out my group immersion, Feminine Remembrance. Come home to yourself. Thank you, beautiful Rose sister. Thank you for being here. Make sure to give me a like if you loved this. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, put the notification bell on to stay tuned to more of my juicy episodes that I love to share with you each week. My name is Jessica Angelari. Bye, gorgeous.